Three mega influencers, MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul, launched Lunchly, a supposed healthy rival to Lunchables, hyped as a win for parents, kids, and their own empires. But within 6 months, the venture collapsed, exposed by doctors and dietitians, mocked online, and even pulled from shelves for molding. What started as a can't-lose influencer food revolution quickly turned into a spectacular public flop. October 2023. The internet hype machine was in full swing. Logan Paul and KSI, fresh off the wild success of Prime, hyped it as Prime 2.0. And MrBeast? Just one tweet from him pulled in 30 million views. 30 million people instantly hooked on whatever this trio was about to drop. The big idea turned out to be simple, maybe too simple. Copy the kid-friendly Lunchables model, but swap the juice box for a bottle of Prime. Then slap on the label of being healthier. Fans went crazy. Within 2 days, Walmart had cleared shelves for it, and some Target stores even had wait lists, as if it were a new iPhone, not a kid's meal. On their Impulsive podcast, they bragged about $100 million in pre-orders, with talk of hitting $1 billion valuation before kids had even opened the box. But no one stopped to ask the obvious. Did kids actually need processed cheese, mystery meat, and electrolyte water in a box? Was this really healthier, or just smart packaging and influencer hype? The three founders weren't worried. They were too busy making vlog content in grocery store freezers and celebrating themselves. It was the perfect example of chasing profit and attention while skipping the basics of making a product that truly made sense. It didn't take long for the cracks to show. By launch week, nutrition labels for Lunchly popped up on Reddit, and the excitement quickly turned into backlash. One viral post pointed out that Lunchly's turkey stackers contained 810 milligrams of sodium, about a third of what an 8-year-old should eat in an entire day. Parents were shocked. Soon, more problems were uncovered. That flashy 25% less sugar claim? It was only true compared to a single type of Lunchables that came with a cookie and sugary juice. Stack it against a normal Lunchables kit, and the difference nearly vanished. And the real cheese selling point. The ingredients list told another story. Additives like sodium phosphate and mold blockers, not the farm-fresh image the box promised. Then the internet piled on. TikTok filled with parents filming blind taste tests where kids almost always picked regular Lunchables over Lunchly. Reviews on Amazon sank to around 3 stars, and Walmart's site filled with photos of slimy meat and rubbery cheese. Yet, even as the criticism mounted, the founders doubled down, still claiming they'd changed the lunch game. It looked less like a revolution and more like pure denial. This is where things went from embarrassing to downright concerning. In December 2023, Consumer Reports ran independent lab tests on Lunchly kits bought straight from stores. What they found shocked parents. Every single kit contained measurable lead, with some testing as high as 6 parts per billion. While technically under the FDA limit, doctors were quick to point out the obvious. No amount of lead is safe for kids. The tests also found phthalates, the same plastic chemicals already in Lunchables, linked to developmental and hormonal issues in children. So much for being actually good for you. At this point, it was clear Lunchly's entire healthier pitch relied on one thing: the Prime drink. The box bragged about 10% coconut water and electrolytes for immune support. In plain English, that meant 90% water and artificial sweeteners, plus trace amounts of vitamins B and C you'd get more of from eating a single orange. Doctors online quickly shredded these claims, posting breakdowns of the label. Yet Lunchly kept pushing ads, showing kids scoring soccer goals and chugging Prime. In January 2024, claims started surfacing of moldy Lunchly kits. One viral video showed fuzzy green mold on the cheese of a just-opened package. That clip alone hit millions. Soon, others across the country showed the same thing: mold in a nationwide pattern. By the end of the week, Lunchly quietly asked stores to pull 2 product lines. Quietly is the key word. There was no press release, no social media warning. The FDA didn't issue a recall since no hospitalizations were confirmed, but leaked Walmart emails later exposed the truth. Voluntary quality hold was just code for mold keeps showing up, pull this now. Meanwhile, the influencer founders handled it poorly. MrBeast stayed silent for 9 days. KSI tweeted a vague, "We're investigating," before promoting a fight. Logan Paul addressed it on Impulsive, blaming supply chain moisture issues and promising better screening. He insisted, "We're still feeding millions, bro," but never once apologized. Parents noticed, and the moldy kits never really made it back to shelves. For all the hype about billion-dollar valuations and industry shakeups, the real numbers told a much harsher story. Sales data from Nielsen showed that Lunchly made about $92 million in retail sales in its first year, 2024. Now, $92 million sounds like a lot of money to you and me, but the founders had publicly claimed they'd hit $1 billion in their first year. That's not just a miss, it's a huge gap between expectation and reality. It's aiming for the moon and not even clearing the trees. By the third quarter of 2024, the financial picture was even worse. Lunchly's revenue had dropped 64% compared to the previous quarter. For a new business, especially one with this much launch hype, that's not just a warning sign, it's a death spiral. Amazon's harsh algorithm, which favors fast-selling products, had already buried Lunchly under generic store-brand crackers. Whole Foods never even bothered to stock it, and Kroger pushed the leftover stock to the shameful end-of-aisle clearance bins. Adding to their money problems were the sky-high production costs. Each Lunchly box needed 3 different cooling zones to keep the meat, crackers, and prime drinks safe. This made logistics a constant drain on already thin profits. Throw in the big fees required just to get on store shelves, plus the costs tied to the mold issues, and it was obvious the whole project was losing money fast. Let's zoom out for a moment. Beyond the mold, the lead, and the bad sales, the whole Lunchly model rested on one thing: kids. But kids don't buy groceries, parents do. So the marketing wasn't really aimed at adults at all. It leaned on what's often called pester power. Get kids hooked on influencers, let them beg in the grocery aisle, and eventually the parent gives in. It's less about nutrition and more about wearing parents down. The American Academy of Pediatrics calls this unfair marketing to minors. Congress has even pushed platforms to rein in junk food ads for this reason. But Lunchly found a loophole. Instead of running traditional ads, they built promotions straight into influencer vlogs and TikToks. That falls into a gray zone the FTC still treats as sponsored content, not normal advertising. In other words, they used YouTube's recommendation system to dodge the same rules that block soda ads from Saturday morning cartoons. When doctors and parents pushed back, the founders and fans fell back on the easy defense of parental choice. But real choice means real information. The front of the Lunchly box never warned about the high sodium or the lab-tested lead. The fine print on the back was crammed with chemical-sounding terms most parents couldn't decode. If you're selling convenience, be clear about it. But if you're claiming health, you owe proof, and Lunchly never delivered. By the summer of 2024, Lunchly had shifted from hot new launch to running joke, a cautionary tale of influencer snake oil. Online creators and comedians piled on, with parody clips and memes mocking the idea of paying premium prices for what many saw as rebranded Lunchables. For millions of viewers, the satire captured the story better than any press release ever could. The trouble wasn't just Lunchly. Prime, the drink at the center of the meal kit, was already drawing heat. Regulators in Europe flagged high caffeine levels in certain Prime energy drinks, and US lawsuits accused Prime of containing forever chemicals. Whether fair or not, that negative press bled directly into Lunchly's reputation. If their health drink was under fire, what did that say about the kits built around it? Retailers took notice, sales slowed, shelves turned over to newer clean label brands, and industry chatter started to suggest that big box partners were losing patience. Rumors even spread online of a Target memo calling for a reset away from Lunchly, though nothing official ever surfaced. Meanwhile, the founders did little to push back on the growing narrative. Posts and appearances framed them as unbothered, tossing Lunchly into their content as a prop, rather than defending it as a product. For critics, that silence felt like the real goodbye. There's something deeply satisfying about a story where the hype machine finally crashes, isn't there? Especially when the hype was this loud, this unavoidable. Parents who once felt pressured into buying the latest influencer-endorsed lunchbox now have the ultimate proof. Lunchly was overpriced, undernourishing, and in some cases unsafe. It wasn't just a bad idea, it was a bad product. For every kid who felt uncool bringing carrots and an apple to school while classmates showed off their flashy kits, this flop is a small but real vindication. And for every small food brand that actually cares about quality and transparency, it clears a little more shelf space. In the end, the market did what regulators often can't. It punished dishonest marketing faster than any PR team could spin. And if you're an entrepreneur watching this, the takeaway couldn't be clearer. Product first, story second. Get those two backwards, and you better hope no one ever decides to test what's really inside the box. So, is Lunchly completely dead? Not quite. The website is still up, and a few kits still pop up on Amazon or in scattered stores. But compared to the billion-dollar dream, what remains is more ghost than giant. The hype is gone, the shelves are clearing, and the founders have already moved on to chase the next trend. They promised parents a healthier lunch and delivered processed meat with an energy drink chaser. They promised retailers blockbuster margins and instead delivered mold and clearance bins. They promised kids fun and belonging, but handed them a tray full of chemicals and empty calories. The shiny facade, built on influencer fame, lasted only as long as the algorithm kept pushing it. Once shoppers flipped the box over or saw the green fuzz with their own eyes, the game was over. The house of cards folded and all we could do was watch. And here's the takeaway. Fame can create buzz, fill shelves, and even sell at a premium for a while. But it can't fake nutrition. So the next time an influencer claims they've reinvented food, do the one thing Lunchly never wanted you to do. Read the label. If you enjoyed this teardown of influencer hype gone wrong, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss the next implosion. And drop a comment with your favorite Lunchly cringe moment. Mine is still Logan Paul calling 810 milligrams of sodium flavor crystals. Because at the end of the day, hype fades. But facts, they always stick around.
I know you're not following what I'm saying anyway, right? That's okay, that doesn't matter. The real question is this: is all this legal? Absolutely fucking not.